What the president did on the call with the president of Ukraine seriously could undermine our national security.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi talked about the status of the impeachment inquiry in Seattle today. Pelosi was in town for an appearance on prescription drug prices. Our political expert, King 5's Chris Daniels, caught up with the speaker and joins us now with what she had to say and the Seattle connection in all of this. Chris.
Yeah, Mark, you just alluded to it. Speaker Pelosi here in Seattle alongside Congresswoman Suzan DelBene to talk about prescription drug prices. But her reaction to the news of the day is what is drawing headlines.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in Seattle. At the time, news is breaking about another man with local roots. Speaker, a quick question regarding Gordon Sondland, who is from the Seattle area. It appears the White House has blocked him from testifying before the House. What's your initial reaction?
Not any of us went to Congress to impeach a president. This is very serious for our country and must be treated with respect. There will be a subpoena issued for him to come testify.
Yes, Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the European Union, is now in the center of the impeachment probe. The White House blocked Sondland from testifying in Congress about what he may know about the president's dealings with Ukraine. Sondland took an unusual path to the center of the political storm, a Mercer Island native who went to UW, founded the Providence hotel chain, which owns Seattle's Hotel Max, Tacoma's Hotel Murano, and dozens more. His $1 million donation to the Trump inaugural committee led to the presidential appointment as ambassador. So based on today, is obstruction of justice now part of the impeachment inquiry?
No, that remains to be determined. That remains to be determined. There will be a subpoena, and we'll see if they respond. Article 3 of the Nixon impeachment was refusing to honor the subpoenas of Congress.
Do you have a specific timeline on this impeachment inquiry?
Well, we want it to be done carefully, not hastily, but we don't want to waste any time.
The Speaker, clearly watching her words carefully, is also trying to frame the narrative about the process itself.
What the president did on the call with the president of Ukraine seriously could undermine our national security.
I also asked Pelosi today what she thought about the president's decision to remove U.S. troops from Syria, a move that has been widely panned by both sides of the aisle. Pelosi rolled her eyes noticeably at the question and then said, and I quote, "The president has demonstrated once again to our world and to our allies that we are not a trusted ally." That's the story for now. Live in Seattle, Chris Daniels, King 5.
Chris, thank you. There's a new poll from NBC News and the Wall Street Journal showing most Americans support some form of impeachment proceeding against President Trump. 55% of Americans say there's enough evidence to either impeach the president and remove him from office or begin an impeachment inquiry. 43% say the president should be impeached and removed given what we know today. In terms of the job he's doing, President Trump's overall approval number stands at 43%, with 53% disapproval.